Yo, I'm back. All right, here we go. So, Declaration of Rights of Man. It's the declaration they finally finished under the tennis court oath. All right, gave free speech. They wanted a representative government and to abolish the privileges of the clergy members and the nobility class. Will my clicker work? No, of course not. Here we go. Second thing. Second thing of what? The liberal phase, of course, that's to nationalize the church. He wanted to disband the monastic orders, which is the orders of dedicating one's whole life to the church, because the people want people to focus more than just the church. They need to focus on the rest of society, family, friends, um, improving culture, right? They wanted to confiscate the lands, and they did, because land equals more power. So let's take some land and give it to the people instead of just for the church. It also eliminated tithing, which is where you give a percentage of your paycheck to the church. Um, and then it also placed the clergy under the authority of the state. So the clergy couldn't just do whatever the H they wanted to do. There were restrictions. There was an authority they had to abide by. So the three phases, we have the Declaration of Citizen of Right and Man, we have the nationalization of church, and then women. Women is next. All right, so women get hungry. What do we have a shortage of? Bread. All right. So in October, they do a march on Versailles, and it's called, wait for it, the October March on Versailles. I know. So thousands of women, very hungry, very angry, decide to go to Versailles. Mother Nature's like, well, if it rains, you won't do it. And so it starts pouring, downpouring. And these women, they don't give a hoot. And they march on Versailles, they knock on the door, do 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 do, and they're like, "Hey, we noticed there's lots of bread in there. Give it to us. We're starving." And so, you got all these starving women. They're hangry, furious, they're wet, and you got chubby Louis the 16th. He's like, do I give them bread? And he says, nah. All right. And as a result, my camera is in the way of words. So, uh, Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette. I know Marie Antoinette is one of the most crazy people ever. We will not go into depth into her. Um, I might can share some tea about her in person, but for the sake of this class, she does not play that big of a role in AP Euro. But whatever. So they do not comply. They do not cave in to the demands of these hungry, angry, wet women. And so what do the women do? Like all women, they storm the palace, they kill the front guards, and they take their heads, they rip them off, they put them on stakes. And at first, King Louis XVI not that worried. He's just like, it's just a bunch of women. But Marquis de Lafayette, who you might remember from the American Revolution, he convinces the king and he says, dude, this ain't looking good. And of course, my clicker ain't working and my picture's in front of it. He says, dude, this ain't working. We got to get you out ASAP and you just need to accept the declaration. And so that's what he does. He accepts the Declaration of Rights of Citizens of Rights of Man. And he leaves Versailles, and him and Marie Antoinette move to Paris. Now this ends up becoming the downfall of Louis in the long run. But once again, there's too much details that they're important, but for AP Euro's sake, they're not. Like you need to know so much in AP Euro, and so the less is more, I guess. But anywho, in my clicker, when I move when I move the thing, I have to re-click. All right. So while this is concurring, while the October March on Versailles is happening, you really got to know that women still don't have rights in France. It's the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. Man. And so it does not represent women's rights at all. It still has them locked in the house with the kids. And that's it. And so we have a new feminist woman who comes into play. Olympe de Gouges. De Gouges. De Gouges. That's de Gouges. She's a playwright. She writes lots of plays. However, she decided to turn her playwright mind into a political mind, and she wrote the Declaration of the Rights of Women and of the Female Citizen. So those are the two key words, and look at me, I did highlight stuff. So the Declaration of the Rights of Women and of the Female Citizen. She did this. All right. She did this to fight for women's rights, and just like Mary Wollstonecraft, she was ahead of her time, and this gave a legal status to women, and it helped improve the societal view of women. Thank de Gouges. All right, now, that is the liberal phase. So notice, no one died except, okay, a couple guards. But honestly, that ain't that bad. Now we get into the crazy phase, the radical phase. Okay, I got 7.5 minutes. Let's see if I can do it. Here we go. All right. So the National Assembly. Who is the National Assembly? It is the third estate, the 97% representing a state that broke off from the estate general, and they moved to the tennis court. You with me so far? Okay. They broke into lots of different groups. There's a royalist and a ton of others. Of course, I put the funny word, the factions up there, like the plain and the mountain and the Girondins. But anywho, the one we gotta focus on. So the National Assembly breaks off from the Estates General, and then they split into lots of different factions. The one faction that we gotta just hyper focus on is the Society of Friends of the Constitution. Now you're like, oh, that's a cool faction. And it was led by a guy named Jacobin, who's the guy in the bottom right there, looking with a little goofy. And Jacobin leads this group, the Society of Friends of the Constitution, and they just eventually changed their name because that's a mouthful, and so they just call them the Jacobins. All right. Okay, coffee break. All right, the Jacobins, the Jacobins. All right, here we go. And clicker's not working. Oh, look at this. I'm moving my screen. Learn something new every day. All right, and my screen's in the way. Oh, wait, which means I gotta click out. Here we go. Jacobin. All right, they're the most radical. What? Although their name is friendly, the Society of the Friends of the Constitution, the Jacobins are super radical. They're extremely egalitarian and extremely violent. If you don't know what egalitarian is, or egalitarianism, that means they want people to be equal. They look across the aisle and they say, we are all in this together. We need all the same rights, which makes sense because they're part of the National Assembly. But they're on the extreme side. And now my voice is deteriorating. Amazing. All right. Less than 5 minutes. Here we go. How many slides do I have? It's going to be close. All right. So the National Assembly decides to have a vote to dissolve itself and make a parliament type of style. All right. So at this point, Louis has caved in. King Louis XVI, he's caved in. He's accepted the Declaration. He's moved out of his house. And so the National Assembly sees this weakness within the monarchy. And so they say, okay, we need to put in our next step to reform our government. And we need to build, remember, one of their goals was to form a constitutional monarchy. And so a constitutional monarchy has a permanent parliament. And so they dissolved the National Assembly and they formed what's called the National Convention. I know this is going to be, it's a lot less people this time. Like the English Civil War is all people. This is more groups, like the Jacobins and what have you. So, the National Convention is created after the dissolvement of the National Assembly. The Jacobins then seized control of the convention, and remember, they're the most radical, and they have a large majority of the National Convention, which means they have the power to dictate policies. Now, oh wait, I like this. This like AI photo of the Jacobins. So that's why I put it up there. So I want you all to see it right there. All right. So the two important things the Jacobins did. One, apparently they didn't like the year of Christ, so they got rid of it. So they decided that year one is no longer, like AD, BC type thing. Nope, year one is now 1792, and that is called the Era of Liberty. Yeah, they're pretty wild. And the second thing they did is they got rid of the constitutional monarchy, which was the staple of the National Assembly, which you can see where they say one thing and mean the other. So, okay. How do they dissolve the constitutional monarchy? And I moved my thing, so now it's all jacked up again. Oh, the bottom's gone. Yes, let's go. Oh, no, I have to move this. Oh, no, okay. All right, here we go. So, how did the Jacobins get rid of the constitutional monarchy? Well, you gotta get rid of the monarchy. So, how do you get rid of the monarchy? You kill the guy and his wife. And so they decide to publicly kill King Louis XVI via guillotine. And they publicly kill Marie Antoinette, who is his wife. At this moment, France no longer becomes a monarchy. They now become a republic. Okay. Now that the king is dead, the monarchy is officially done, and it's party time? Maybe not just yet. And while all the people are celebrating that they have their freedom, finally, they're free from the monarchy, they're realizing, and I misspelled king right here. I don't know what happened there. They think all is good until they see that other European countries around them are like completely jaw hits the floor. And I just realized I'm out of time. So great. We're gonna have to make 4 parts. Fun. Alrighty. Take care. I'll pause right here and we'll go to the next one.